All right, welcome back to another live stream. Fun fact, we actually haven't done this since October of 2020. That is the exact last time that I've live streamed on this channel, which is absolutely bonkers because I actually miss doing this. Like, I miss talking to you guys, you know? And I don't know why I stopped. I honestly do not know why I stopped, but I'm going to be bringing them back. Some of you love it. A lot of you love it, but some of you are kind of like, I don't need a live stream. Just give me a 5-minute video. Well, I'm bringing them back. And I'm starting it off with an unboxing, okay? We're going to unbox the ASUS ROG Zephyrus. This is a beautiful laptop from ASUS, and one that I've been really wanting to get my hands on just because of how light and portable it is. And I don't know, it's just one of those laptops that have just enough performance that it will handle like your gaming needs, but yet it's still good enough to do like video creation work and travel super light. I know I talk about video work a lot, which is probably annoying to a lot of you because, you know, like not all of you do video. Some of you are programmers, developers. Some of you just sit at home all day and play Minesweeper, but we all have our picks. So this is the box, the actual retail box that it comes in, and it's a 16-inch version. There's two versions of this, the M15 and the M16. And the M16 is obviously a 16-inch display, okay? It's a bigger display, but the reason why I find this laptop to be a bit more special than, let's say, you know, other 15-inch laptops is because of that QHD panel. So that's what the laptop looks like, wrapped up so ever so nicely. And then inside the box, you're obviously going to get all your accessories, right? So let's open this up. ASUS likes to have like an angled opening so the laptop pops out of you. It's one of those little things that makes the unboxing experience so much nicer. Inside here, we have absolutely nothing. And then in this side, we have your power brick. Now, ASUS customizes their own power bricks. They don't use that typical Chicone stuff that you find with other laptops. And instead, they have their own power brick, which I think looks a little bit classier. It's a little bit more chiseled. This is I believe, a 240-watt power brick. Actually, it is. You can see right here. And you need that kind of power in order to keep the GPU that's inside of here going. Now, for paperwork, you don't get much, right? Like, laptops usually don't include much, but basically you just get a few things welcoming you to the M16 club and whatnot. Just we don't read this stuff. Like, we're better than that, okay? We're better than that. All right, the laptop. Let's just take a step back for a second, okay? And have a little moment of silence so that I can unwrap this, okay? Here we go. Hey, Mason, quiet, okay? I want everyone to hear the plastic opening. Just keep your mouth quiet for a second. I'll be honest with you guys, laptop unwrappings don't have the same satisfaction as phone unplastic wrappings. It's just not there. You know, it sounds more like, I don't know, 5 children farting. Whereas a phone is like you get that nice peel, which just feels and sounds so crispy. Okay, right off the bat, look at that. Come on. Uh-oh. What's going on here? Okay, right off the bat, whoa. So this pattern is causing my webcam to go bonkers. Like, watch this. It doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know what to do, so it unfocuses. Anyways, if you can tell by the webcam, you have this like special color going across the lid or going diagonally across the lid, which I think looks super cool. It gives it its own unique feel. Like, it's not going to be a laptop that, you know, you want to take into the office and be like, wow, look at my business laptop. It does have that gaming vibe to it, but I do appreciate the little bit of design characteristics that this thing has over other competing products. It is made out of metal. It reminds me a lot of the G14. In fact, I have the G14 right here so that you guys can see for context. So this is the size of the G14. Actually, it's the exact same layout, okay? The exact same layout. So here's the G14. Here's the M16. Come on, focus. M16 on the bottom, okay? That's how much bigger it is. Same thickness, pretty much the same thickness. M16 might be a little bit thicker, but you get a lot more ports. Like, look at the I/O on this compared to the G14, right? Like, just so much more I/O. You have your power connector, HDMI, Ethernet jack, and trust me, Ethernet jack's important these days. USB, 2 USB Type-C ports. One supports power delivery, so like if you have a 100-watt USB charger, you could actually charge this thing on the go. Now, just one thing about using a USB charger on the go, it will charge your laptop. It's not going to charge it as fast as the actual charger that comes with it. And if you do leave it plugged in, you can use it as long as you want. But if you decide to game, it's still going to drain, right? Because the laptop's going to have to power throttle a little bit because the power brick is not giving it as much power. But if you have like a 100-watt charger with you, at least you can keep this thing juiced. And then because this is an Intel chip inside of here, the 11th gen, which is really good, by the way, and I'll talk about that shortly, you have Thunderbolt 4, which you can connect an external GPU, which I don't suggest, but you can connect a nice dock to it and get all that bandwidth to use. And of course, on the bottom one, we have a little audio jack so you can plug in your headphones. Now on the other side, not much, but you do get your micro SD card slot. Unfortunately, it's not SD card. I would have loved that. And then you have a USB port for an extra connection. So tons of I/O, especially when you compare it to the G14. There's just significantly less, as expected, since the G14 is a 14-inch laptop after all. Okay, the big question for the 5.5 people out there: can you open up this thing with one hand? Okay, here we go. One hand opening. Bam! So you can. 5 people out there, rejoice. Give yourself a little clap. Pat yourself on the back at home. You're going to feel very special right now. Little keyboard covering. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Look how big that touchpad is. It's huge. I'm going to zoom in for you guys so you can see a little bit better. But this is a very, very big touchpad. So plenty of space to move around. The one thing that I do like about the M16 that the G14 doesn't have is the feel of the deck, okay? I'm going to just put this over for a second so I can show you what I mean. The deck of the G14 is just like your typical metal chassis. This has like a rubber texture to it, you know? Like a rubber texture to it, which feels so much better when you're resting your wrists on it. Like, it just feels a lot more comfortable to use. Now, the keyboard experience is exactly the same as the G14, so there's not a big difference there. Like, I really dig the ASUS keyboards. Like, there's like the perfect amount of space. It has like a tactile click. It's not my favorite keyboard, but it's a really good keyboard, okay? Just in typical fashion, you have your power button on top, your arrow keys, you have 2 speakers on top, and then you should have 2 speakers on the bottom. So that's the other thing. If you're buying this laptop, you're getting 4 speakers, okay? You're getting 2 tweeters, and you're getting 2 subwoofers, or 2 woofers rather, on the bottom of the laptop, which is pretty cool, okay? So better sound quality on this compared to, let's say, the G14. Actually, does the G14 have 2 speakers on the bottom? Yeah, it does. Okay, so ignore me. Okay, I was wrong. All right, it's a live stream. I make mistakes. Don't hate me. So they both have 4 speakers. Do you guys want me to do a sound test? If you want me to do a sound test, let me know, and I can do that for you. We can do a sound test. Now, there will be a lot of fingerprints on these guys just because these are black laptops. Not as significant as something like the Razer Blade 15. Actually, I have a Razer Blade 15 right here. Look how dirty this thing gets, okay? Very dirty. This is not going to get as dirty because of the type of lid, but it will get dirty. Just this gets a lot more dirty, okay? Display. I think this is the big deal. So the display can go all the way back to 180 degrees. I'm going to show you what I mean. So you can have it flat out like this, okay? 180 degrees, super thin bezels. Like, these bezels look so good, okay? And then you have a little webcam on the top, which is something ASUS omitted from their other lineup. Like, you don't get a webcam on the G14. Like, there's no webcam whatsoever. But you do get a webcam on this, which is one of the biggest complaints from previous ASUS laptops in the past. Now, there's 2 different versions of this display, okay? You can either buy it at 1920 by 1200, which will net you a 16-inch display with 25 milliseconds, 500 nits. It will be Pantone validated, so it will be color accurate, and it will be 144 hertz. But it's not the best display for gaming because of that high ghosting or high refresh rate. Not high refresh rate, sorry. That high G to G rate, okay? So if you want the better gaming display and the better display for content creation, you definitely want to shell out a bit more money and get the 16-inch variant, which I have here, which is a QHD panel with a 3 millisecond response time. Now, both of these panels are 500 nits, so they get fairly bright. At least according to ASUS's marketing materials. I still have to do my full review, so this is not me speaking. This is me reading a spec sheet based on the review materials, okay? Again, this is an unboxing, not a review. First impressions, review will be later, okay? So QHD display, 16 by 10, and this is the type of display that I personally want for myself, right? Because I'm that content creator. I'm that gamer, right? I love to game. There's a lot of people in my chat who I game with probably every single night. A lot of Call of Duty goes down. So this would be perfect because it's color accurate. It has that pixel density that I can use, but it still has that high refresh rate at 165 hertz for the more expensive QHD panel, which is more than plenty for the GPU that's inside of here. Okay, so Jeremy Blessclay asks price. I don't know the price of this right now, just because it's not out on any website where I can buy it from. You know, like I checked Amazon, I even checked ASUS's website. It doesn't show the price. So I don't have a clear detail on price, but I promise you once I find out, I will obviously pin it in the comment section, or not comment section, in the description to let you guys know, and I'll place a link where you could actually purchase the product. I have to say, I am really digging this display. Like, it is gorgeous. Okay, oh my God. It's beautiful. It is really, really beautiful. And it's a matte display. So you're not going to get that crazy reflection that you would get on a glossy panel. This one gives you less gloss. So if you're someone who's like taking this to school, you're sitting by a window, you're outside, you're not going to have that crazy reflection you'd get with a glass panel. Now I'm just going to do a quick little, I'm just going to jump in quickly to the Nvidia Geforce just so you guys can see exactly what I'm working with here right now. This is the 3060 version. You can get this either with a 3050 Ti or a 3060. This one happens to be the 3060, which I feel is like the place where I'd want to be personally. And it'll give you enough horsepower that you can game comfortably at 1080p, but then you can go back up to QHD if you need that extra screen real estate if you're doing some sort of work. Okay, what else do you guys need to know about this laptop? It's light. Very, very light. Like, this is 4.14 pounds, which is lighter than, let's say, the Razer Blade 15. Like this guy over here, I think is like 4.8 pounds or 4.6 pounds. It's definitely heavier. Like if you were to hold both of these in your hand, you'd feel how much heavier the Razer Blade 15 is. Now, don't get me wrong. The Razer Blade 15 should be heavier because you can spec it all the way up with an RTX 3080, right? You're going to get that significantly more horsepower that you wouldn't get in this guy. There is one thing you should know, okay? Because this is using a thinner chassis, it is using a 3060, but it can't go past 100 watts. So the GPU itself is rated at 80 watts, but there's a technology from Nvidia called Dynamic Boost. And what Dynamic Boost does is it basically takes power away from either the CPU or GPU, depending on what you're doing. So if you're like gaming and you don't need as much CPU power, the GPU might work at 100 watts. Like it'll dynamically boost 20 watts higher to give you more performance. The same holds true on the opposite end. If you're not really using the GPU and you're some sort of maniac developing some code and you're just like pounding the CPU like crazy, you can dynamically switch that 20 watts towards the CPU to get better performance. So I'm really curious to find out exactly what the heat is like on this thing, because this isn't a smaller chassis. But the thing is, this is an Intel CPU, okay? So in the past, with the 10th gen Intel CPUs, I would be like, don't even look at them. Just buy an AMD CPU, right? They're more efficient and they offer better performance. But these 11th gen Intel CPUs offer the same or if not more performance. But the problem is, because the nanometer is higher it's not as efficient. Like the battery life is not going to be as good as a comparable AMD CPU. So you might get a little bit better performance, right? But you might lose out on actual battery life. Now this is an i9, okay? An i9 11900H that's inside of here. And I'm curious to see how well this laptop can push it, because that's a very, very beefy CPU. That requires a lot of cooling. Now, this is not the thinnest laptop I've used, and ASUS, of course, continues to use their Ergo Hinge, which I don't know if you guys can see this, but it basically pushes the base of the laptop up to allow for better airflow. So what you have is you have air coming in, right? And then heat dissipating from the bottom. And because this portion is up higher, you get better airflow apparently. Okay, sound test. Okay. All right, Anubix, I see you. I see you with your little Minecraft avatar. I'm coming. Let me just log into my Wi-Fi here for a second, and then we're gonna connect to Epidemic Sound, and we're gonna do a little sound test. In the meantime, I'm gonna answer some of your questions. So Tara Rix says max 2 hours gaming. Look, it doesn't matter what gaming laptop you buy, okay? I don't care what the CPU is inside of there. If it's running an RTX card or any beefy GPU, the battery life is just not going to be that great. So if this thing is gaming, yes, you're going to get max 2 hours battery life. Now, I don't know the actual battery life on this because I personally haven't tested, but based on the marketing materials from ASUS, they're rating it at around 7 to 8 hours doing the PC Mark work office space productivity. So if you have the screen brightness very, very low and you're just doing like basic stuff like browsing the web, you're not using Chrome, because like if you have one Chrome tab open, like your laptop is probably just going to drain completely. But if you're doing like very basic stuff, you know, maybe typing a document in Microsoft Office and having the odd Zoom call, then yeah, I can totally see this getting like 5 to 6 hours of use. But I think most people's use cases is going to be a lot less than that. Okay, I'm logging in right now. I'm going to grab a song from, oh, you know what? It's going to be very hard to do a sound test because the microphone is here. I'm going to have to point it at this. This will be interesting. Okay, hold on. Because this is a dynamic mic, it's not like my shotgun mic where I can pick up everything. This has to be super duper close, which I don't think you're going to get the best sound comparison. Okay, let me mute my desktop background music for a second here. I'm going to pull up a song. Let's try, I don't know, what's this one? Okay, here we go. I guess if you can't hear it too well, I'll just describe it for you and I'll tell you which one sounds better. Okay, I'm going to blast the volume to its maximum potential. By the way, this supports Dolby Atmos. So even if you plug something into this and it supports Dolby Atmos, you'll be able to listen to the whole sound experience. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, if you hear a little bit of whining in the background, that's the air condition. That's why I'm using a dynamic mic, so I can try to block as much noise as possible. I moved into a new studio and there's an AC above me, so every time it turns on, it vibrates the whole place. So if you hear a little bit in the background, you might hear some air conditioning noise. That's not the GPU whining, as one person said in the actual comment section, okay? The G14's battery is dead, so I'm not going to compare it to this, but I will describe the sound quality on this. This is not going to beat a MacBook Pro 13 in terms of sound quality. It's just not. But it's really good, you know? The only thing is if you are gaming on this and you are cranking the fans, it's probably going to get loud to the point where you'd still want to wear headphones. Now, I was just looking at some of ASUS's material. If it's on silent mode, you will get a very quiet experience, but you're going to lose out on power, all right? And what happens is your decibel will be below 40, which is like a good quiet experience. As soon as you put it up to performance mode, it gets closer and closer to 50 decibels. And once you're there, like playing a hardcore game or compiling or rendering a file, that's when you're going to want to switch from the external speakers to actual headphones. Now, let me see. Someone asked about a 3070 and 3080 in this laptop. Well, not this dude. Harsher didn't ask that, but someone did before. This is the only comment I can see right now. This does not come with a 3070, okay? If you want a 3070 or a 3080, you have to move up to the G15 lineup, okay? It's a beefier computer. It has bigger components. You can get a 3070 inside of there. It's going to boost higher. You will get better performance. This is thinner, okay? This is kind of like a bigger version of the G14, right? So this is more for portability, right? Like this is something I'd want if I was traveling, like something like this. 4.14 pounds. It's not going to weigh me down. You know, it's going to feel nice and comfortable. Now, I'm not going to open it up. I'll save that for my full review, but I do want to do a Cinebench test, okay? Let me see here. Hold on. Let me plug it in. Where's the power connector? The reason why I want to do a Cinebench test is because I want to show a lot of people how good these new Intel CPUs are. Not in terms of battery efficiency, they're terrible at that, but in terms of performance, because I feel like Intel's been getting a lot of slack lately, and the one area that they're doing okay now is H-series laptops. Not the U-series. You're still better off buying AMD in most situations unless you need that integrated GPU, but in terms of H-series laptops, these new 11th gen processors are actually pretty mighty, okay? So I'm just going to do a quick Cinebench R23 test to kind of show you guys exactly what kind of performance you should expect out of this machine. Now, obviously, this is not going to be a real-life test, which makes the most sense, but it'll give you an idea of what to expect if you're doing any multi-threaded core workloads. All right, I got it plugged in, and Mazen Darug, why is this not working? There we go. Mazen Darug asks me, would I carry this at CES? Yeah, absolutely. I would totally rock this at CES if, after my review, I'm completely happy with the performance. Like if this checks out, it runs well, and everything's okay, I would totally rock this for a CES laptop. Unless like Apple comes out with something totally crazy, but I don't think they will until the end of the year, you know? Most CESs, I've carried a Lenovo ThinkPad Extreme. That was usually the laptop I'd carry with me. But ASUS lately has been absolutely killing it when it comes to laptops. Okay, I'm going to download Cinebench right now, just so I can show you guys and give you an idea of how this thing performs. I'm going to make sure that, now all things considering, I haven't fully updated it because I just unboxed it, but I'm going to make sure it's on best performance mode. I'm going to jump into the ASUS Armory crate to make sure it's on its highest setting. So when I do this test, it's running at its fastest potential. So I'm loading it up right now. And right now this thing is on, let's see here. I don't know if you guys can see this. I should probably show you guys. Right now this thing is on, let's go over here. Clear this so we don't have to see Mazen's face for the entire video, am I right? Where is the performance setting here? Default, racing, scenery. No, I don't want this. Is this it? Come on, Armory Crate. Where are you? Nope. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put it on turbo, okay? This is the fastest this thing can go, all right? This is what the ASUS Armory Crate looks like. The fans should kick on the second I start any test. So let's download it right now, which is what I'm going to do. I'm not signing in, bruh. Okay? Could this be your laptop in the future? Nishchav Raghav asks. I think so. Like I am. Yes, I don't need to sign in. I definitely think I would rock this. Now there is, okay, I forgot to talk about one thing. The SSD inside of here is swappable. So if you want to upgrade it to something bigger down the road, you can. I believe there's 2 slots. Okay, I believe there's 2 slots, and you can set the drives in RAID 0. So you can have 2 drives in here, plenty of storage, not a problem. The only thing you need to worry about is how much RAM you need, okay? So like if you're just gaming, right? No problem. you can put up to 48 gigabytes of RAM. But if you're some sort of like hardcore pro who's like almost editing like crazy production and you need the RAM for a multi-threaded workload, then you want to be able to put as much RAM in here. And with other laptops, you can do 64. So the max RAM you can put inside of here is going to be 48. Just keep that in mind, right? So 16 is soldered onto the motherboard, and then you can upgrade to another 32 gigabyte stick, and you still have that dual channel memory configuration. Okay, let's run a quick little Cinebench test so I can kind of just show you what these multi-threaded core speeds look like. Maybe you can hear the fans from this permeate as it starts. The fans are kicking on. Let's see how loud it is. Okay, this is going to be an unfair test because the air condition is loud above me, but let's see what it looks like. Okay, honestly, it's unfair because there's a loud air conditioning above me, but I'd say the actual decibel range for this thing when it's under full load is about 50, okay? It's actually not that bad. I've tested many, many gaming laptops, and this is significantly quieter. If you've heard an Acer Predator Helios 300 under full load, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. Wow, I just did a test and I didn't even have it on the overhead cam. Let's do that again. So right now it's showing, hold on. Okay, it's showing 57 decibels. But again, like I mentioned before, that's a bit unfair because of a massive air conditioning unit above me. I'd say it's about 50 decibels, which is significantly less loud than, let's say, Acer Predator Helios 300 at max, which gets up to like 60 decibels. I could totally deal with this. It is a bit annoying. Like if this is pounding in class, you are going to be a bit annoyed, but it's not nearly as bad as most gaming laptops. Now look at that score, okay? For a I don't know if you guys can see this, but for a multi-core score, it's 14,055, okay? To give you some context, the ASUS Zephyrus G14 with its Ryzen 9 5900HS only gets up to about 12,000. So the performance with this 9th gen Intel processor is better than the 9th gen Ryzen processor. Now, again, I'm going to say this again one more time because I want you guys to understand something. You do and will get better battery life with a Ryzen processor any day of the week. But these new 11th gen processors are really great performers. So Matt D asks me, Razer Blade 17 or this laptop? I love the Razer Blade 17, and if I was just going from, let's say, my house to, let's say, a cottage, for example. Wow, I sound like a son. If I was going to my house to a cottage, I'd probably bring the Razer Blade. Now, what I'm trying to say is, if I wasn't traveling much, okay, I would like the Blade 17 because I prefer a bigger display. But if I had to pick one always, I would probably choose this over it just because it's a lot lighter, it's more portable. It has that 16:10 aspect ratio, which I personally prefer. And this screen is gorgeous, guys. Like, it's really gorgeous. 500 nits, super bright, pixel dense. It's a beautiful thing, okay? It's a beautiful thing. So right now we're just quickly doing a single core test to find out exactly how well this CPU does in single core clock speeds. This is also going to beat out the AMD Ryzen processors. I think it's probably going to score around 1400, which is not as high as, let's say, the MacBook Air M1 or MacBook Pro, but faster than the 10th gen Intel processors, and it will be faster than the 5th generation or 5000 series AMD processors. So one person asks, or El Adrudi asks, how do you expect the battery life to be? Well, this is a gaming laptop. So I mentioned this before. If you're gaming on this thing, the battery life is not going to be great, right? You game on this, you're going to get lower frame rates because the laptop itself has the thermal throttle, so it doesn't blow up the battery. And then on top of that, you're only going to get about 2 hours of use before needing to charge. If you're just doing very general stuff, like you're using not Chrome, okay? And maybe you're doing some office work and you're attending some Zoom calls, I'm expecting 5 hours of battery life. I personally haven't tested it. ASUS's material or review material, which I have over here, states around 7 using the PC Mark 10 battery test bench, but it's never that high. So let me do my review, and I'll give you a better idea when I actually do my review. Okay. So Devan Singh Balar asks, do you think the thermals will be good? I mean, this is a thin laptop. ASUS does a pretty good job with thermals, but the 11th gen Intel processors do or will or are, oh my God, I can't even speak English today, but the 11th gen processors do run hotter than the Ryzen processors. So I'm expecting this to be a bit more warm compared to, let's say, if there was a AMD version of this thing available on the market. Harsha Ragavan, he says, right now between the Razer Blade 15 Advanced, Zephyrus M16 3060, and a ROG Flow X13 6050 and 30XG Mobile, which is the best? So everyone, a lot of YouTubers really praised the Flow X13. And don't get me, can someone ban Cool Music? Just kick them out. Get them out of here. The one thing about the Flow X13 was it was a very beautiful laptop. But the problem with the Flow X13 is you need like if you're connecting a 3080 to it, technically you're using ASUS's proprietary connection. And the thing that worries me is like, are they ever going to update the GPU? You know, like, are you stuck with only a 3080 for the rest of your life? You got to remember, ASUS is not Apple or Samsung, okay, or a bigger company that is more likely to continue supporting a proprietary technology. So I personally wouldn't go for the Flow X13. It's not my thing. But if you only want one system and you're looking for something that's like, you know, pretty good for school, but has the performance to do other stuff at school, then the 1650 is kind of capable. But you want like a more beefier graphics card to play hardcore games or do some sort of nutty workflow. Next question. Did I answer your question? I think I did. So, okay. Anubix asks, Minecraft character guy. He asks, the deal breaker for me is the screen vent. Is it a concern, or do you think it's fine? I think it's fine. You know, like, I think it's fine. I can see why you might think that because you have air blowing onto the screen, but I don't see that being an issue. I haven't heard of any ASUS laptops breaking or having problems because of the vents that are closer to the screen. I will say this, though. I don't know if he's in chat, but My God, a user in our Discord, so that's his name. I'm not just saying that. A user in our Discord server got a ASUS G15, and the monitor over here was peeled away from the back. So that's one thing to consider, because they just glue this, right? Like, this is just glue here, right? When this comes off, that's it. The monitor separates. So there are little things like that that may creep up in the future in terms of quality control. Just really inspect your unit if you decide to buy this, because I've had ASUS laptops in the past, and for some reason, the monitor separation is a thing. Justin Hallen says the ROG Flow 13 now comes with a 1350 Ti internally. And why do I have this up like this? And I'm not even speaking English. If it does have a 3050 Ti internally, that's actually kind of more appealing, right? You know, you got that 3050 Ti on the go, and then you plug it into a 3080 when you're at home. But I don't know. I think it's very expensive for what they want, right? I think it's super duper expensive for what they want, considering you have to purchase a piece of technology that's super duper proprietary. How good is the keyboard? How good feeling is it? Pata asks. The keyboard feels great. Like, I love this keyboard. Like I said, it's not my favorite keyboard, but I don't have too many complaints. You know, it has a nice tactile click. The key separation is super duper nice. Like, I don't feel like I'm making any typo mistakes. The mouse, the touchpad is super accurate. Like, better than the Blade 15's touchpad, but not as good as the Surface laptop. I still think the Surface laptop has one of the best touchpads on a Windows laptop, but it's up there. It's really good. And I do like the fact that the M16 is using this rubberized texture. It will pick up more dirt. It will pick up more lint than your standard laptop. But from a palm perspective, like if you're resting your wrists on this for the entire day, then it's going to feel great. Okay. Ziad Zakaria, he asks, is this a good laptop for programmers with the occasional gaming? Yeah, absolutely. Because these are 8-core CPUs, if you're doing a lot of CPU-based programming, then you're going to get fantastic compile times. And the 3060 in here is not as, obviously it's not as good as the 3080 or 3070 for gaming. But it's still going to give you a good gaming experience. As long as you don't mind dropping settings down to 1080p if you're playing more graphically intensive games. But all older titles like Overwatch, League of Legends, World of Warcraft, stuff like that, like this 3060 is going to eat it. It's going to laugh at it. But if you're playing like Call of Duty, Warzone, because it's such a dumpster fire of optimization, and you're playing some of them like Cyberpunk, for example, then yeah, you're going to want to keep it at 1080p. Okay, so I finally got the result for the single core clock speed test. It is 1548. This is right in line with the MacBook Air M1 and MacBook Pro 13. This beats out all the Ryzen laptops that came out this year in terms of single core clock speed performance. Fantastic stuff, okay? I've seen some Tiger Lake U processors get a little bit higher single core clock speeds, but this is right at the top. So from a performance standpoint, this is going to beat out, no problem, a Ryzen chip with a 5900 HS based on like a synthetic benchmark, right? Obviously, things change when you start using actual applications and it has to cool the processor. Then you might see some variation, but it just depends how well ASUS did with their cooling here in order to keep this 10 nanometer chip at bay, right? You're comparing 10 nanometers to 7. So hotter chip, more performance compared to a more efficient chip with really good performance, but you get better battery life. Okay. Monoji Heat Naf says, hey, Matthew, keep up the good work. This one or the MacBook Pro 16 for motion design. As of right now, I would definitely go with the MacBook Pro. Whoa. Let me rewind that back. As of right now, I would go with this over the MacBook Pro 16. The MacBook Pro 16 is a 9th gen CPU from a couple of years ago. Apple's probably going to be replacing it end of the year. So if you're looking for a laptop right now, I personally would rather use this guy over a MacBook Pro 16 at the moment. All right. And thank you, Monoja Heat, for the 100 rupees. I appreciate it, buddy. And thank you for supporting the channel. It really means a lot. Now, since I have you guys all in here, I just want to say one thing. If you have the time and you haven't already, hit the like button to help this video get noticed. You know, maybe your mom wants to watch it. And of course, if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe, okay? It's a beautiful place here. We got such an awesome community, especially on our Discord server. Some great lads. You know, we're helpful. We talk about tech. We game with each other. It's a great place. All right. So I think that's it in terms of this laptop, in terms of what to expect. I'm going to be reviewing it. If you guys want to see the bottom of it, I think someone asked, is the bottom plastic? That's a great question. I don't know. It feels like it's not plastic, but I could be wrong because it's so hard to tell these days because a lot of these companies are making these aluminum chassis with very, very thin versions of it. And there's even plastic embedded to it, but they can still get away calling it plastic. So I'll have to look it up to make sure this is actual metal. Okay. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I need to tell you guys. Weight is 4.2 pounds, which makes it super light. I think that's it. You know, like this is honestly a laptop for content creators who like to game. That's the main market for this thing, you know? You're buying it because you want that color accurate display. You're buying it because you still want a gaming experience with that high refresh display and a GPU to support it. It's not going to give you the fastest gaming experience because it's a 3060, but it's going to be a good gaming experience. And that 3060 is still way good enough for any sort of content creation. And that's the important thing, right? You want the balance of everything. Now, quick little test on the webcam because, you know, why not? But I'm expecting it to be pretty poor. I think it's a 2 megapixel webcam. Let's just pop it up. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see this, but I'll try. It's hard to see. Yeah, it's the same webcam you'd expect in most laptops these days. The idea is just to have one so that, like, you know, if you need to make a conference call or if you want to stream on this laptop, you can do it right away without having to purchase an external webcam. There's a couple of lights on the back, which I forgot to mention. One is your flashing hard drive light. The other one just means it's powered on. And then, of course, you have extra vents on the back to dissipate heat to keep this thing cool. There's a lot of vents on this thing, right? You got, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Actually, no, I didn't. Sorry, never mind. Ignore me. Yeah, there's a lot of vents. So these 2 vents are actually the same vents as the ones when you open up the display. They just are brought upwards because of the Ergo Hinge, but they are the exact same vents that are on the back when you look right here. So again, airflow coming in over here, right? And then on the bottom, airflow dissipates right here. The heat leaves the body. Okay. Too much spam going on. Let's ban this guy. Oh, didn't mean to click on this guy. How do I... Do I have a moderator in here at all? Someone kick Meme Leap. I should probably get some more moderators when I actually do these things. Okay. Do you like this display more than the Legion 5 Pro? I do. I like this display better than the Legion 5 Pro. It's a little bit brighter. It's I don't know. It's the bezels make it look more appealing. Like it's more enjoyable to look at because of the bezel size. So I'd rather use this display over the Legion 5 Pro. How do I not have any moderators in here? Okay. Okay, so Shamusha17 asks, release date. I don't know when the release date is this. I don't see it on Amazon. I don't see it on ASUS's website telling me when it's going to be released. My guess is in the next month or so. So just there'll be a link in the description down below, and I'll update it once there's an actual release date. I don't know the price of the laptop either. ASUS Zephyrus 15 or 16? Which one? G15, M16? If you're doing Ryzen or Intel, I kind of explained it already. Right now, the 11th gen Intel processors can perform faster than the 5000 series ASUS AMD processors. But what happens is you lose out on battery life, and it all depends on how well the laptop can keep the Intel CPU cool. So usually in a bigger chassis, I'd probably lean towards a Intel CPU. But in a thinner chassis, if you want the better battery life and a CPU that can probably keep higher sustained clock speeds due to the lower nanometer architecture, you might want to go with ASUS. It just depends on the laptop. What's the price of this laptop? We don't know yet. I know it's kind of unrelated, but what was your experience with RMA? I've never used MSI Canada RMA. All right, any more questions about this laptop before I wrap this up? So I think you guys are misinformed about the vents on top. Let me just try something for 1 second, okay? Because I think you guys are getting the wrong impression about these vents. 1 second. Let me just do something here for you guys, okay? Just so we can clear this once and for all. I'm going to load up Cinebench again. Okay, so if I'm correct, 1 second. Let's see. Let's load this up. Are the hinges tight? Great question. I'm going to put it up on the screen so I can check. Okay. Okay. So I have my hand right here. This is what's happening, okay? There's a little bit of hot air coming out of these vents, but these vents are not meant to blow air out. These vents are meant to take air in. They're intake vents, okay? And what happens is the air goes through the CPU and then comes out on the sides and the bottom of the chassis. So you don't have too much to worry about in terms of fans blowing on your screen, because these are not vents to blow air. They're intake vents. They do the opposite. They allow air in so that it can be blown out through the bottom and through the sides of the laptop. So I hope that makes a lot of sense for those of you asking and worried about air being blown on your display. They're intake vents. They're not outtake vents. So you really don't have much to worry about. You will feel a tiny bit of air here just because it's opened up and there's a lot of air going into the laptop. So you'll feel a little bit of heat here, but it's not blowing onto your display to be a major concern, right? So you don't have anything to worry about. Oh my God, how do I not have one mod in here? Hello, concept creator. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for the €5 super chat. I hope you're having yourself a great day. Oh my God, front slash. Let me ban this loser. Hold on. I don't know if this is the right thing to do here, but oh, that didn't work. Stupid Nightbot. I did a speaker test already, and they're good. They're good. I wouldn't say it's like the best speakers I've used, but you know, they're really, really good. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Bye-bye. Okay. Yeah, they're definitely not the best speakers I've used, but they're really good. Like compared to most typical gaming laptops, because they have 4 speakers on this, you get some really good crispy sound. One thing I was telling people was that if you are gaming on this and you have performance or turbo mode on, the decibels will go over 50, but it's not nearly as loud as, let's say, an Acer Nitro 5 or an Acer Predator Helios 300 when the turbo fans are kicked on. At that point, you're going to want to put on headphones, you know? Okay. A few more questions, and then I'm going to wrap this up. Joshua Chan asks a great question. He asks G15 or M16. So G15 is going to give you better performance because you can buy with a 3070 and I believe a 3080. The chassis might be a tiny bit thicker, so you will get better performance with the G15, but I believe it is a heavier laptop. So it depends what you're going for, right? If you're going for that portability, then you want the M16. That's what you're buying this first for. If you don't care about that and you don't mind carrying a little bit of extra weight and you want more performance in your laptop, then you get the G15. What else here? A few more questions. How much does it weigh? It weighs approximately 4.14 pounds, 4.19 pounds, which equates to 1.9 kilograms. So this is lighter than a MacBook Pro and lighter than a Razer Blade 15, if that makes a lot of sense. Farrell asks temperatures. I don't have a temperature test on this yet. This is an unboxing and first impressions video. I promise you I will show the temps. I will show the battery life. I'll show heat management in my full review. So if there's more questions for that, make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Price predictions from Aiden Ramcharan. I have no idea. My guess is things probably going to start at $16.99 maybe is a good guess. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so will it come with a 3050 Ti? They didn't mention in the release. That's correct. You can buy this laptop with a 3050 Ti, or you can purchase it with a 3060. So it just depends how much performance you want. And one thing to take into consideration is you don't have to buy this with a i9 processor. You can totally get this with an i7 or something a bit lighter. Just know that there's 2 versions of this display, right? Like you can still buy it at 1920 by 1200, or you can pay more and get the QHD panel. I really dig this QHD panel. I think it looks super good. And you get a faster response time of 3 milliseconds compared to 25 on the full HD version. What about the 3050 variant? An ASUS community post said it would have one with 3050 or 3050 Ti. I think you might be right. Let me scroll up on the actual review notes here. So, no, I mean, based on what I'm seeing from ASUS's marketing materials, Visdrum 97 is that you can get this with a i7 11800H, right? Which is what I suggest. I actually don't suggest buying this with an i9. Like, I just don't see the point, right? Or you can get it with an i9 11900H. And in terms of GPU options, the marketing materials only show a 3060 or 3050 Ti. But it depends on your region, right? Like sometimes ASUS or any company in general, what they'll do is they'll release specific SKUs to certain regions. Like sometimes in Canada, we get some weird SKUs over here compared to the States, and they might be only available in Best Buy, for example. So there may be a 3050 version, but based on the marketing materials I have here, it's just a 3060 and 3050 Ti. All right, I think that's it. Mr. Unknown, thank you so much for taking the time in India to wake up and watch this live stream. I do appreciate it. You are the best. Also, Hani Siraj asks if the screen is reflective. I already talked about this. It is a matte display. So a matte display means it's not reflective. It's going to block out reflections. I have a blasting light reflecting on this right now, and you don't see too many reflections. So if that's important to you, you're going to love this thing, especially because it can get bright at 500 nits. Does this thing have ooh, great question. I didn't even check that. Hey, does this laptop have RGB lighting? No, it does not. There's no RGB lighting on this laptop, I believe. Let me just load up ASUS's Armory Crate and do one last check for you guys just to make sure, but I believe there is no RGB lighting on this laptop. Yeah, I don't think there is. We go up here to sync. I could be wrong though. What do I know? I'm kidding. Lighting. Syncing with devices, breathing. Okay. Oh, wait. I think we might have some RGB. Yes, we do. We do. You can change the color of the keyboard. Hold on. Okay, so you can change the color of the keyboard to whatever color you want, but I don't think you can change the color of the keys. So one zone of RGB lighting, or maybe you can. Hold on, let's see. Hold on a second here. Okay, let's just get started here, okay? Let's see here. Nah, it's just one color, guys. I believe it's just one color. I'll confirm for my full review, but based on what I'm seeing right here, you can only change the color of the keyboard. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me try to boost up the color so you can see what the lighting looks like. If you guys can see. Can you guys see that on camera? Oh, wait, I'm not even showing you the laptop. Gee, what's wrong with me? So there is RGB. It's one zone. I don't know if you guys can see the color changes over here, but right now I have it in blue, and I have a breathing effect on it, so you can change to different effects whenever you want. But yeah, it does support RGB. It's just not per key. Wow, I just spent like 45 hours on RGB lighting. Ridiculous. Okay. A few more questions. Would it be worth going from a 1060 to a 3050? I think so. It's going to be a nice little performance boost for you, and it's a nice time to upgrade. You know, if you're holding on to a 10 series card or a 10 series laptop in general, moving up to the 30 series, if you can get your hands on one, is a good upgrade. What's the TGP on, oops, wrong one. What's the TGP on the RTX 3060? So this is an 80 watt GPU that can dynamically boost up to 100 watts. And that goes for the 3050 Ti as well. So both 80 watts can boost up to 100 watts. So Meme Leap asks, so should we shift to Intel for gaming? Please answer. Well, this does have the faster single core clock speeds. So if you're still gaming at 1080p, absolutely. If you're not gaming at 1080p, then it really doesn't matter if you go AMD or Intel, right? It all comes down to the GPU. And you probably want better battery life, so AMD might be a better answer because it'll be more efficient. Who else? How bad is the keyboard light bleed? Asks Mazen the Dynamic Resolution Darug. So there is a bit of, so the best way to describe it is there is bleed, but imagine like a little border around the key. It's not like spilling out. It just looks like a little border. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's probably tough on the camera. I've got to change the webcam again. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but you have like a little border around each key, which kind of shows the light, but it's not like spilling out onto the next key or anything. It's fine. All I do is play Minecraft. Will it be good for motion graphics? Absolutely. This thing is going to be a monster, an absolute monster. Okay. So I'm going to wrap it up right here. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to come out today to watch this video. Please, if you're new to the channel, I would love for you to subscribe and most importantly, hit the like button. Okay, I hope I provided you guys some value. I hope I answered a lot of your questions because that's what I'm here for. And I honestly just miss talking to you guys, you know? I'm going to be doing more live streams like this. Let me know in the comment section down below what I can do to make these live streams better, okay? Hit me up on Discord, drop a comment, like this video, subscribe, stay tuned for the full review, and we have another episode of Best Laptop Setups coming out this Sunday, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are the best, and I'll talk to you guys soon.